Hey there guys, today we're taking a look at Gears of War Ultimate Edition running on the AMD Ryzen 5 5500U. Now you're looking at the game currently running with the lowest in-game graphics settings except for the textures, which are maxed out, and we are running this at the stock 15 watt TDP. Now we can max out the textures because it's not going to affect the performance at all. Whether we set them to the highest or lowest, it's not going to change anything because we do have 16 gigabytes of RAM, which means that we have more than enough essentially video RAM for the game to utilize here. One thing that you need to know with the APUs is that while you look at the memory count there and it says I only have 482 megabytes of RAM, what is actually happening is that the APUs are designed to use as much system RAM as video memory as they need, which is why you can see that we're using about 12 gigabytes of system RAM in total. I know a lot of people will suggest that, oh, just go into the BIOS and adjust manually the amount of system memory that you have allocated as VRAM, but performance testing has shown that that pretty much has no noticeable impact in terms of performance because the system is already designed to dynamically adjust that as it needs. There are a few cases where doing that will give you a benefit, but it's mostly just in games that are designed to not launch without a set amount of VRAM allocated. There are games out there that won't launch with anything less than 4 gigabytes of RAM or less than 8 gigabytes of RAM. So in those cases, manually setting an increased amount of allocated VRAM can actually be helpful just to get you to launch the game, but it won't have any noticeable effect on performance. This is just something that a lot of you guys always bring up, like, oh, adjust the RAM or adjust the video RAM allocation. Trust me, it does nothing to the performance. You can even look up Hardware Unbox's APU testing on that to show you that that's actually what's happening. But in terms of the actual performance that we're getting here at the stock 15 watt TDP, it's just not giving us a playable performance here. The 1% lows are in the teens and our FPS average is just shy of 30 FPS, which means that overall it does feel very, very sluggish. And you can tell by the frame times essentially just being waves that this is extremely inconsistent. Now, of course, we can try to raise the TDP to see if that can actually alleviate our problems here. And now it also depends on what exactly you're doing on the map in terms of what performance is going to look like. But even in interior areas, which are supposed to be the more performant ones, the level of performance that we're getting, even with the 25 watt TDP, is not great. 1% lows are still in the teens and our averages still are not hitting in the 30s. In general, it is a rough experience, and as you can tell again by the frame times, the fact that it is just constant waves lets you know that this is going to feel very inconsistent. So not a great showing so far, but it might just be that we cannot do this with the full 1080p resolution. So we can also start to drop resolution to see if we can actually level out this performance. Unfortunately, dropping down to 900p, while it does give us a nice boost in terms of averages, again in interior areas, the 1% lows continue to struggle, and you'll see that the waves in terms of frame times continue to happen. We'll have moments where we'll get really nice performance and then it'll drop dramatically. In general, I just find this to be extremely unplayable like this. It is not pleasant in the slightest, and I think that the vast majority of people would not be happy with these results here. Of course, we can try to reduce the resolution even further down to 720p and see if that can finally alleviate our problems. But unfortunately, even though we keep seeing increases in performance in terms of our averages, those 1% lows still end up being a problem. Now, you will see that the frame times are looking at the best that they've seen so far. That's not really saying much considering the fact that we're still getting some noticeable spikes here and there, and the 1% lows are still struggling here. This is the most consistent that we could get this experience to be, but it's still not the most ideal. I'm sure there are people out there that will be able to stomach through playing like this, but personally, I find that these inconsistent levels of performance bring down the whole gaming experience here. So I would definitely recommend just skipping out on this game on this specific system. It just is not really capable of keeping up. I'm genuinely surprised to see that this ended up being this demanding, but in general, it really just seems that this port itself has also had kind of performance issues across the board. I remember a while back trying to play this with a buddy, and even though I'm playing it on my full desktop PC, I was still having performance issues. Now, they weren't as egregious as this. The 1% lows weren't in the teens or anything like that, but considering how well Gears of War 5 performed and looked in comparison, this level of performance is kind of just unacceptable across the board, whether it's on a mini PC like this or on a full-fledged desktop PC. So this is definitely a skip. I would not recommend playing this on here. It's unfortunate to see, and I do hope that at some point Microsoft actually does get around to getting the rest of the Gears franchise on PC, because it's a little odd that we only have Gears 1, Gears 4, and then Gears 5. Considering that Gears 2 and Gears 3 are some of the best in the franchise, it's really sad to see that we're just kind of left with a good chunk of the best parts of the story just missing from the platform. But anyways, I hope you found this look at Gears of War Ultimate Edition running on the AMD Ryzen 5 5500 5500U to be useful, entertaining, or interesting. If you did, be sure to subscribe. Check out those Amazon affiliate links down below to help support the channel without any added cost to you. Or if you would like to directly support, you can become a member for as little as $1 a month, and that is greatly appreciated. I will catch you guys in the next one.